If you're moving around, when you come back into the school, you have a lot of catching up, and sometimes you can't really ever catch up, so it becomes demotivating.
They can be the most socially excluded group, and that is recognised.
People do call us names sometimes about we travel, and we don't really like that.
It's the attitude of the travellers themselves that is really pressed us to change our responses.
I think it's a good thing that I'm trying to make something of my life.
The term traveller is used to cover a wide range of groups, traditionally associated with a nomadic lifestyle, united by their need for new and inspirational distance learning. New technology is providing traveller children the opportunity to further their education and develop relationships with schools from wherever they might be in the UK.
I think with the Showman, in some ways, it's a little bit easier than it perhaps is with some other groups of travellers, because generally speaking, Showmen return to the same base school every winter. And so we do have a bit of continuity there to start off with. But with other travellers, they may not return to the same school every time they've been travelling.
I think the difficulty we have with lots of travelling children is they move from area to area and they don't gain links with schools, they don't build links with schools.
Traveller children have a number of difficulties that they have to overcome, or barriers that they have to overcome in accessing education. They very often, are moved on when they stop, and in that situation it's really difficult to have them attend school for any reasonable amount of time. The grandparents of traveller children now, they perhaps had very poor negative experiences at school or didn't go very often. Now there's a network of traveller education services who try to make sure that children have a positive experience in schools.
Much of recent traveller education work is encouraging families to embrace the education system.
The attitude towards school in the traveller community is changing, and it's changing, I think, quite markedly, and actually I think quite quickly. So there are more and more traveller families but they're recognising that maybe they need to make a little bit of a sacrifice in order, maybe change their lifestyles a little bit in order to secure their children a continuing place in school. So it's the attitude of the travellers themselves that is really pressed us to change our responses.
Distance learning is evolving, and a new generation of traveller children are being encouraged to embrace education through the use of IT.
Well, at this school we have some showman's children who live on a site near the village. Part of the year they are members of the class when they're in for winter quarters, and then when they go out on their travels, we do a distant learning package where I set work for them and topics for them and so on, and then it's sent off to them and then returned to me for marking. I mean, this is how things get back to me. Traveller Ed, parcel up, different work. This is from another of our girls, Perry. So she's done several weeks' work, which then I look through and mark. And with Perry, who hasn't got a laptop, I will send in a letter to her and write about her progress and so on. But with Elizabeth, that's a bit of Elizabeth's work. I can contact her straight away now if I wanted to. I could go to the computer and do an instant recall of that and give us my comments.
Elizabeth was one of the first traveller children to receive an internet-ready laptop as part of a new distance learning scheme.
When she first went to school, we didn't want her to be sort of different to anybody else. We wanted her to be, fit in with the other children. But obviously she's not. Obviously she does, she is different. It's back to front, look. She starts school in October, she finishes in March, then she goes out travelling. The school are very good, and they've accepted Elizabeth very, very well. Click on that one first, that one, yeah. Right.
Hi Elizabeth, I hope you got your new pack. It just keeps raining all the time here. Jackie.
Jackie, do you want to read the next one then? What does that...
So this is a new pack for Elizabeth, which will be sent out in the next few days. Elizabeth's been doing distance learning now for 3 seasons. She started off by just doing paper-based work, but she got on so well with that the following year we then gave her a standalone laptop and sent her some software. She got on really well with that. So this year we gave her a laptop with connectivity. She uses some software to enhance what she's doing in the paper-based pack. Like, for example, we use a series of CDs called Classmates, and they are little video lessons. They last between 5 and 10 minutes, and we've got the literacy and the numeracy ones.
What does that say? So I think for Elizabeth, the future is she's going to have to learn how to use a computer. Where for me, I suppose it wasn't the computers was just you had computer lessons at school, but it wasn't an important thing. Where I think now everything is computers. What's this one?
I'm doing that one.
Obviously, what we're hoping to do by giving children the distance learning is to help them to keep up, to make sure that when they do go back into school at the end of the travelling season, that they can slot back in without too much difficulty.
Elizabeth is just one of a number of traveller children benefiting from wireless internet technology. The e-learning and mobility project, funded by the DFES, is enabling regular contact with both teachers and classmates.
Well, what happens is, when we go to school in the winter, we go from about November time to about March, and in that time, we just like do normal work. And then when we go out travelling again, we have the exact same work as anyone else would at school, but we just have it in packs, and every 3 months we've got to send it back and get a new one. Oh, shall I send this now? Yeah.
We would hope that all schools are providing at least some form of distance learning for their pupils, but the purpose of the laptop with the eLamp project was so that the children could have this extra facility.
Well, we do loads of emailing, and we do something called didactics, and it's like a teacher on the computer, and she tells you what to do, and then you've got to do it after she's said it.
So what we're trying to do is build on the social building that we do within education, that children learn from each other and from society at large. And so the laptop is merely an extra means of communication. It's far superior to a telephone call. It can widen the experience of the children in the classroom, because hopefully one day we can have webcams attached to these laptops. So the children in the classroom are learning where their peers are working.
Alex, that's it. The message looks quite good now, doesn't it? Can we put in coloured? Yeah, if you want. Sometimes we don't get a signal. And when we don't get a signal, it's quite hard, really. Because you try and do your work and can't get a signal.
Yeah, connectivity has been a problem, largely because the fairgrounds tend to be in amongst trees, on a field, in the park, and of course the data cards tend to be influenced by such things as trees. So yes, it isn't the best situation. One parent I know has driven his child to the top of the nearby hill in order to transmit. Such is their dedication to their work.
We get very bad reception around the country with the laptops, and sometimes I've even drove them down the road a couple of 3 miles in the car, and they've got all the work ready, and we've drove down the road and then they've sent the email from a couple of mile away.
Every time I used to go back to school, I used to cry, right, because I never used to like it, because I used to get scared. When we got the laptop, I picked up a bit, and because I was talking to my friends on the laptop, through the laptop, when I went there I was just all happy, and that was it, really.
They've got the self-esteem of being able to do their own work and to complete their work independently, which is an adult skill we also want them to acquire. and also to still feel they belong to the wider community and the community within their school, even though they are not physically there.
Many of the real challenges in traveller education are in encouraging travellers through secondary education and further.
I think one of the changes that I've observed with the Gypsy families in particular is that the traveller families often were reluctant to let their children receive a secondary education because they felt that their children might be drawn away from their home culture, might be attracted to the wider community's culture. It's one of the traditions of the culture that boys should be learning the ways so that by the time they're about 16, they should be able to fend for themselves and make their way in the world. Similarly, girls would be encouraged to learn how to be a mother, how to care for the home, how to care for siblings. By us saying we must keep them in school until 16 is obviously a clash of their culture and our culture.
Chantal is part of a new generation of travellers. She's staying in education as a way of fulfilling her ambition, to be a lawyer.
Yeah, this is my grandma and granddad's caravan. I stay here with them like every Appleby because my mum and dad only comes up for the day.
I've got quite high hopes for Chantal, and I think since the laptop has been in her possession and she's really engaged her family into the learning process, that there's been a decision to let her go on to high school, and I'm really pleased by that.
No, I think it's a good thing that I'm trying to make something of my life, not just go off and get married. And
she's certainly done lots of work, brilliant work with the laptop. She's a member of the Traveller Children's Advocacy Project, and she will type the minutes up on the laptop and email them to their office. So that was a use that we weren't anticipating.
If I was a lawyer, then I think more traveller rights would be put across to the government and that. Because I know Gypsy sites are making travellers be something that they're not by moving into houses and that.
You can think of very little that could be more useful to the Gypsy and traveller community than to have a trained lawyer who is one of their own community, because there's representation in that and defence and proper application to the emerging needs of Gypsies and travellers.
I think the laptop project's the way of the future, providing they get the technology right.
But I see this as being a stepping stone really for Elizabeth. She's going to get these IT skills at quite an early age. I just see it as a learning process for her, and it's been a bit of an experiment this year, but I think it's been a valuable one.
Well, I wish we did have a laptop each because it'll be a lot easier. Yeah, because her stuff won't be on my computer. It's not yours, it's mine.